The HOA president smiled coldly as she handed me the phone number. $50,000 for your baby, she whispered. Meet me at the flea market Saturday, or I'll call child services myself. I stared at my sleeping daughter, knowing I had to choose between my child and my freedom. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The morning sun cast long shadows across Willowbrook Drive as I stepped out of my small apartment, my 6-month-old daughter Emma cradled in my arms. Her tiny fingers wrapped around mine, and for a moment, I forgot about the bills piling up on my kitchen table and the eviction notice taped to my door. My name is Sarah, and I'm a single mother trying to make ends meet after my husband died in a car accident 8 months ago. The life insurance money had run out, my part-time job barely covered groceries, and the medical bills from Emma's premature birth were drowning me in debt. But the biggest problem in my life wasn't financial. It was Margaret Thornfield, the HOA president who lived in the mansion at the end of our street. Everyone called her HOA Karen behind her back, though no one dared say it to her face. She was a woman in her late 50s with perfectly styled silver hair, designer clothes, and a heart made of ice. Margaret had made my life miserable from the day I moved into the small apartment complex that technically fell under her HOA's jurisdiction. She complained about everything: my old car taking up a parking space, Emma's crying disturbing the peaceful neighborhood atmosphere, and my inability to pay the monthly HOA fees that had mysteriously doubled since I arrived. That woman doesn't belong here, I'd overheard her telling other residents. Single mothers bring down property values. Mark my words, she'll be gone soon. What I didn't know was how far Margaret would go to make that prediction come true. It was a Tuesday morning when everything changed. I was getting ready for my shift at the local diner, trying to find a babysitter for Emma since my usual sitter had canceled last minute. I was already running late, stress making my hands shake as I packed Emma's diaper bag. A sharp knock at my door made me jump. Through the peephole, I saw Margaret's stern face, her lips pressed into a thin line. I opened the door reluctantly, Emma in my arms. "Miss Johnson," Margaret said, her voice dripping with fake politeness. "We need to discuss your situation." "What situation?" I asked, though my heart was already sinking. "Your HOA fees are 3 months behind. The board has voted. You have 24 hours to pay in full or face immediate eviction." My knees nearly buckled. "Margaret, please. I've been trying to catch up. I just need a little more time. The decision is final." Her eyes moved to Emma, and something cold flickered in them. "It's really quite sad watching you struggle like this. That poor child deserves better than this." She gestured dismissively at my small apartment. "Emma is loved and cared for," I said firmly, holding my daughter closer. "Love doesn't pay for food or proper health care," Margaret replied with a cruel smile. "But don't worry. I might have a solution to your problems." Before I could ask what she meant, she turned and walked away, leaving me with a sick feeling in my stomach that had nothing to do with my empty bank account. The next morning, I woke up to find my door unlocked. Panic shot through me as I rushed to Emma's crib, but she was there, sleeping peacefully. Nothing seemed to be missing, but something felt wrong. Very wrong. I was getting Emma ready for another day of job hunting when my phone rang. Margaret's name appeared on the screen. "Good morning, Sarah," she said sweetly. "I hope you've reconsidered your position. Have you found the money you owe?" "You know I haven't," I whispered, tears already forming in my eyes. "Well, then I have good news. I found someone very interested in adopting a baby. A wealthy couple who can provide everything that precious child needs: private schools, healthcare, a stable home. They're willing to pay quite handsomely." My blood turned to ice. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about giving Emma a real future, Sarah. These people are willing to pay $50,000. Think about it, you could pay off all your debts and start fresh. And Emma would have the life she deserves." "You're talking about selling my baby?" I screamed into the phone. "I'm talking about doing what's best for everyone involved," Margaret said calmly. "Meet me at the Riverside Flea Market this Saturday at noon. Bring Emma. If you don't show up, I'll make sure Child Services knows about your financial difficulties. Your eviction. Your inability to provide proper care." The line went dead, leaving me staring at my phone in horror. For 3 days I barely slept. I held Emma constantly, my mind racing through impossible options. I couldn't sell my daughter. The very thought made me physically sick. But Margaret's threat about Child Services terrified me. What if they really did take Emma away? What if I lost her anyway but for nothing? I tried calling the police, but what could I tell them? Margaret hadn't technically done anything illegal yet. She was just offering to help with an adoption. I had no proof of her real intentions. I thought about running, but where would I go with no money, no car that would make it out of state, and a baby who needed constant care? Friday night, I sat on my bedroom floor holding Emma as she slept. Tears streamed down my face as I whispered to her. I'm so sorry, baby girl. Mommy doesn't know what to do. But I promise you this. No matter what happens tomorrow, I will never, ever let anyone take you away from me. You're my whole world. As if she could hear me, Emma's tiny hand reached up and touched my cheek. In that moment, I made my decision. I would go to the flea market, but not to hand over my daughter. I would go to expose Margaret for the monster she really was. Saturday arrived gray and drizzly, matching my mood perfectly. I dressed Emma in her prettiest outfit, a pink dress my mother had sent before she died, and tried to calm my racing heart. The Riverside flea market was busy despite the weather. Vendors sold everything from antique furniture to homemade crafts. The smell of funnel cake and barbecue filled the air, and under any other circumstances, it might have been a pleasant place to spend an afternoon. I spotted Margaret immediately. She stood next to a booth selling vintage jewelry, checking her expensive watch impatiently. She dressed up for the occasion, a navy blue suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. As I approached with Emma in my stroller, Margaret's face lit up with fake warmth. Sarah. Right on time. And look at this precious little angel. She leaned down toward Emma, who immediately started crying as if sensing the danger. Where are these people you mentioned? I asked, my voice barely steady. They'll be here shortly, Margaret said, pulling out her phone. I've already sent them photos. They're very excited. My heart broke a little more with each word. This woman was talking about my daughter like she was a piece of merchandise. Margaret, please, I whispered. I can't do this. She's my baby. Don't be selfish, Sarah, Margaret snapped, her mask slipping. Look at yourself. Look at your life. What kind of future can you give her? These people have money, connections, everything she needs. She needs her mother, I said firmly. She needs more than love, Margaret replied coldly. She needs stability. Security. A real home. That's when a man approached us. He was tall, wearing jeans and a flannel shirt, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Everything about him seemed normal, trustworthy even. My heart sank as I realized this must be the buyer. Mrs. Thornfield, he said to Margaret. I'm here about the baby. Margaret's entire demeanor changed, becoming sickeningly sweet. Of course. This is Sarah, and this beautiful little one is Emma. The man looked at me with what seemed like genuine sympathy. This must be very difficult for you. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. This was really happening. The financial arrangement we discussed? Margaret prompted. Right here, the man said, patting a briefcase at his side. 50,000 as agreed. Margaret's eyes gleamed with greed, and something else. Satisfaction. This wasn't just about money for her. This was about power. About punishing me for existing in her perfect neighborhood. Excellent, she said. Sarah, why don't you say goodbye? The words hit me like a physical blow. This was it. This was the moment my world ended. But then something strange happened. The man looked directly at me and said, Ma'am, I need you to know that you have rights. No one can force you to do this. Do you understand what I'm saying? Margaret shot him a sharp look. What are you talking about? We discussed this. She's willing. I'm not willing, I whispered, then louder. I'm not willing. I don't want to do this. The man nodded and then did something that shocked everyone within 50 feet of us. Detective Rodriguez, Metro PD, he said loudly, pulling out a badge. Ma'am, you're under arrest for attempted human trafficking. Margaret's face went white. What? This is ridiculous. This is a legal adoption. Legal adoptions don't happen in parking lots for cash, lady, Detective Rodriguez said, handcuffing Margaret as she sputtered in outrage. And they definitely don't involve threats and coercion. As it turned out, someone had been watching Margaret's activities for months. Mrs. Patterson, an elderly woman who lived 2 streets over, had noticed Margaret's increasingly aggressive behavior toward struggling families in the neighborhood. She'd seen the eviction notices, heard the threats, and when she overheard Margaret bragging to a friend about her solution to the undesirable element in the community, she called the police. Detective Rodriguez had been investigating Margaret for weeks. The wealthy couple's story was complete fiction. Margaret had been planning to pocket the entire $50,000 herself. The briefcase contained fake money for the sting operation. She's been targeting single mothers, elderly people on fixed incomes, anyone she considers beneath the neighborhood standards. Detective Rodriguez explained to me later at the police station. Your case was just the most extreme. She was literally trying to steal and sell your child. As Margaret was led away in handcuffs, she screamed at me across the parking lot, "You'll never amount to anything. That child would have been better off without you." But for the first time in months, her words didn't hurt. Because I realized something important: she was wrong. Emma didn't need money or a mansion or designer clothes. She needed love, and I had more than enough of that to give. The investigation into Margaret's activities uncovered a web of financial fraud, harassment, and intimidation that went back years. She'd been embezzling HOA funds, forging documents, and using her position to terrorize anyone who couldn't fight back. She was charged with attempted human trafficking, fraud, embezzlement, and a dozen other crimes. The $50,000 she'd planned to steal from the fake adoption was nothing compared to the hundreds of thousands she'd stolen from the community over the years. But the most satisfying moment came during her sentencing hearing. I stood up in that courtroom holding Emma, and I spoke directly to the woman who tried to destroy our lives. "Margaret, you thought my love wasn't enough for my daughter. You thought money and status were all that mattered. But you were wrong about everything. Emma doesn't need a mansion. She doesn't need designer clothes or private schools. She needs a mother who loves her unconditionally, who would fight for her, who would never give up on her. And that's exactly what she has." Margaret was sentenced to 12 years in prison. The HOA was dissolved, and the stolen money was returned to the community members she cheated. With the legal fees paid by the recovered HOA funds and Margaret's harassment finally over, I was able to focus on rebuilding our lives. Mrs. Patterson, who had become something of a local hero for exposing Margaret's crimes, helped me find a better job and even babysits Emma sometimes. Detective Rodriguez stayed in touch too. He told me that seeing cases like mine, where justice actually prevailed and families stayed together, reminded him why he became a police officer in the first place. Emma is now 2 years old, walking and talking and bringing joy to everyone she meets. She has no memory of that terrible day at the flea market, but I'll never forget it. Not because it was the worst day of my life, but because it was the day I learned just how strong a mother's love can be. Sometimes I drive past the mansion where Margaret used to live. It's been sold now, and a young family with 3 kids lives there. They have toys scattered across the lawn and chalk drawings on the sidewalk, all the things Margaret would have considered property value violations. The neighborhood is better without her. Happier. More human. People ask me sometimes if I'm angry about what Margaret put us through. The truth is I'm not. I'm grateful. I'm grateful because her cruelty showed me how precious my daughter really is. I'm grateful because it brought good people like Mrs. Patterson and Detective Rodriguez into our lives. I'm grateful because it taught me that love really is stronger than money, stronger than status, stronger than the worst that people can do to each other. Margaret thought she could put a price tag on Emma, but some things can't be bought or sold. A mother's love is one of them. Emma and I still live in a small apartment. I still work hard to pay the bills. But we have something Margaret never had and never understood. We have each other, and that's worth more than all the money in the world. Every night when I put Emma to bed, I tell her the same thing: you are loved, you are wanted, and you are exactly where you belong. And every night as she drifts off to sleep, I'm reminded that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's living well, loving deeply, and proving your enemies wrong simply by being happy. Margaret tried to steal my baby, but instead she gave me something even more valuable. She gave me the absolute certainty that I would do anything, face anything, survive anything to protect my child. She thought she was breaking us apart, but she only made us stronger. And that's a gift I'll treasure for the rest of my life.